Several years ago, a priest was preaching a parish mission in a very rural part of northern Canada. And as he was preaching, he was talking about the prophet Hosea, who happened to have been a shepherd. And he recalls he used the line, "I'm from Brooklyn. What do I know about sheep?" As he was leaving Mass and saying his goodbyes to everybody, a man from the side approached and said, "Hey, Brooklyn, you want to know about sheep?" Curious, the priest said, "Yeah." And the man named Mark said, "I'm a shepherd. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. 5? The priest said. Mark said, "Yeah, so?" The priest protested, "Isn't it supposed to rain?" The shepherd responded simply, "So, you want to learn about sheep or not?" So at 5 a.m. the next morning, they set out into Mark's sheepfold where there were hundreds of sheep. Mark gave the priest these big boots because, he said, the ground is going to be muddy. Muddy didn't describe what the priest stepped into. It was more like who knows what. Wet, who knows what. And it had a certain smell that hit his nostrils and a feel that went right up his boots. The priest watched Mark as he called the sheep by their names and was surprised that the sheep began to follow him out of the pasture. Yet, for most of the day, Mark didn't lead the sheep. Instead, he followed them. He would watch where they would go and what they did and what they wanted to eat. And he always kept guiding them. When the shepherd saw some wandering off, he used a crook. He placed it gently around their neck and pulled them back in or nudged them away from harm. At the end of the day, the priest was impressed and asked one serious question: do sheep ever attack? Mark just laughed as they went their separate ways. Just thinking of the gospel today, what a beautiful image of Jesus as a shepherd. You know, Pope Francis says, if we want to be effective in the church, we've got to know the smell of the sheep. We have to know what people really want, what they really desire. And it's true that the sheep only respond to a shepherd's voice. When the priest had tried to call them, there was no response. In fact, they went the other way. Sheep learn who they can trust and who is safe. Maybe that's what the gospel in this Easter season invites all of us to, no matter where we are in our lives. There's a lot of noise out there. You know, for one thing, we're always plugged in, aren't we? We're always on something or looking at something. There's a lot of different voices telling us what we have to be, what we have to do, what we have to want if we really want to be successful. And yet there's that one voice that will always care for us, that will always keep us safe and knows our name. Whether we're very young or old, even when we forget our own name, he knows our name. The Good Shepherd knows who we are. He knows everything about us. So maybe during these days of Easter, we can unplug ourselves a little bit and, listen to his voice tell us how good we really are.